Hello there, Roll Coach GB in here. So I want to react to the what the best Sylas in the Super server looks like. So Sylas, just disclaimer, got a recently nerfed here and there, and so let's see how does the best Sylas player make the champion work. Okay, decent kill. So he is over 1300 LP, right? Right. Not many Sylas players we see, by the way, after the Sylas nerfs, but I would say tone the champion down, but it's not necessarily bad. So he doesn't really take Electrocute or First Strike like everyone else. He's choosing Conqueror. Conqueror is super consistent. The issue with First Strike is that if people damage your HP, you could have zero rune at all. Then Electrocute is generally okay, but Conqueror scales a little better, right? Ooh, nice kick, right? So that's the thing about Sylas, that you gotta know how to use every single ultimate properly in the game. Because, for example, if you didn't know that you can, of course, you can kick someone, then flash behind them to go for an insect, then you wouldn't get a kill, right? So when you play Sylas, you got to be prepared to know like every single like ultimate interaction, at least for the meta champions that you're gonna steal. Because if you don't know how to utilize them at 100%, in here we see a R into a flash into a really good insect, right? Then you won't be able to get a kill, right? For example, even if you steal Oriana's R, you can cast her R and flash at the same time, right? But as visually we can see, just because like he did play so cleanly, he knew his limits at the maximum, he actually was able to get a kill. So more than often, you should actually learn how to utilize an ultimate, if it can be comboed with a flash, if you can use it in a certain way to beat your opponent, because that will help you a lot to climb as Sylas. It's definitely really important to know which ults to steal. So extra points into Q at level 4 versus range champs. That's what I would recommend to people as well, but people tend to perma W max for no reason. That's what I've been saying in the past as well, that it goes to answering ever for Zanyi. That's what I said in the past as well, like you need some points in your Q, because into some matchups, not too often you're gonna utilize your W against some range champs like Lux. So even so, if you can force an all-in and you wanna short trade as much as possible with Q, that's gonna be like your ideal tool to trade into people, especially if they hug minions, right? And then you can actually trade, because with E it could get awkward, because you could lose HP. And again, like you could just it could end up really badly. But watch out on his sneaky positioning, right? So he actually shows up from the he wards raptors really good, so it's really nice to know when the enemy jungler is around. And from the other hand, now Azir doesn't know where Sylas is, so in here he more confidently steps out of the minion wave, and just now Sylas showed up on his radar, and basically Sylas presses E and sneaks in a E into the Azir. So look how cleanly he uses his E. Really well played on his part. He lost his first leg though, but he still got the short trade in. Azir lost almost half of his HP. So we can see, even though like, yes, Sylas' W did get nerfed, his other abilities still do a lot of damage. The champion, I would say, is still highly viable. You see how much damage he does. It just he been toned down a bit, because he actually been quite strong for a while, if it's played very well. In fact, even in pro play it's played. And so more than often the trick is very simple. Like you wanna cleave the minions with your base. You wanna E, basic attack one minion if it's needed. Then you can connect your E right after, right? Now in here he did miss, but sometimes it will happen. And so into Akali, to be honest to you guys, I wouldn't really risk to do that, because she could either E or Q start, and both of them can be punishing, and often you will just go for an even trade. So in my opinion, into an Akali, I wouldn't really force, or at least one of her Qs have to be on cooldown. But in my opinion, into bomb plating Akali, I wouldn't really force. Some champs like Yon and Yasuo and these champs can be very punishing, even so Nico. So even though he did connect the E into Nico, the issue is what happens if it misses, right? So that's like one of the problems. Now if Sylas' E misses, he gets pulled in, but then what happens is basically that you don't connect your E, you struggle to connect maybe your basic attacks, and even so in here, like the trade been at most even, maybe a bit more favored towards Nico. So keep that in mind, that trading heavily into like some strong early level champs, it may not be the most recommended in my opinion, right? He also does play Ignite, I just now noticed, so he doesn't play TP. Into a lane bully I wouldn't risk to do too much that, because then you don't have TP to recall. So in here he's level 3 Tristana is 3, he has a bit of a HP deficit, but look, extremely well played on his part, so give the false sensation of security to your opponents. This is what I've been telling to people, like if you can E forward and last hit a minion that people are covering behind, right? You can just like sneak in an E, go for a really good all-in, he does utilize his W, he does utilize C, he got a decent short trade there, and definitely really well played on his part. So he does actually go in with his E, presses his Q, presses his W, and he got a decent trade into her. Now, one successful trade as Sylas opens, so one successful trade into Swisher Gems often opens up kill opportunities later on. So if you go for a very good short trade, then that definitely allows you to, you know, later on just be able to all in them, because you saw he dealt more than half of her HP amount of damage, and if you do it again when all of your abilities are up, you'll be able to like simply find a kill opportunity. Now in there he tried to predict something, I do believe, with his E. She does jump away, he Qs after her, and then he does actually flash W, right? But even in here he doesn't give up on chase, so look, in here he's waiting for the Q to land, right? And then he insta flashes in and picks up the kill, right? And so look at this. He's level 1 into an Orianna. Orianna zones him away. Orianna's level 1 is still quite strong even after nerfs. And so in here he's wishing for level 2 and he already presses E. And look what he does, so he's permanently looking at the minions, so you don't only look at your opponents and their cooldowns, what you should pay attention to is the minions, because those are the things that disallow you to connect your E to go for a really good trade, right? So that's what you should watch out for if your opponent mispositions, because that allows you to like really easily, you know, go for a trade. So this is what you should fish for, right? Uses W as a gap closer, right? So you can gap close with W, right? Because it also allows you to like dash forward, right? Like it's also a short dash. Yep. Now look, he again does what? He presses Q, does use EZ, does use his W and his second E, and now in here he almost finished off. Ooh, that was a bit risky. That was a bit risky. Okay. So sometimes it's a bit gambling to E when people are nearby minions, in my opinion. Especially into Syndra, it can be a bit... No way he wins this, right? Whew, he did connect everything. So we see like, even though Sylas got nerfed, he still has a lot of damage, right? That was quite unbelievable. I wouldn't even believe it, right? And we can see like, yes, Sylas got nerfed on his W, but he still does hurt. And I always said like, that nerf, I was like, it's surely gonna affect Sylas. But I feel like if you're really fed, it doesn't really matter all that much, to be honest. So look how he utilizes Everfrost, gets the root down, works through the minion wave, connects his E. So it's definitely really important to get that root up, at least the slow. Then that's your engaging tool, right? Like that helps you a lot to like consistently hit your E or Q. And again, look what he does. He's every time fishing to connect these, right? So that's what you should pay attention to, right? And look what he does again. He steps up, presses his W. He cannot connect his E yet, but what does he do? He Qs the opponent, he Qs the minion wave, and note that he gets empowered basic attacks from using abilities, which furthermore, what does it allow you to do? To clear the wave. But this generally doesn't happen in the earlier levels, so you got to have some levels, right? And you got to have some AP in your kit, because if you try to do this in level 3, it won't fight with the 3 minions, trust me. As smoothly as in here. You can see the good Q, right? Like, it didn't connect the blasting part of his Q, right? The circle, but it still hit the chains, and now he can actually like force something in here. He does connect his W, Q is coming, and does he steal an ult? He does steal the ult. He doesn't ult, his patience, he knows his limits, because he knows that Kayn doesn't have too much damage, Kayn doesn't have ult, and like Nico right now is out of fuel, so he knows he doesn't even have to waste the Kayn ult, because the Kayn ult can be used to finish off Kayn. And because Kayn is so shit in these days, I feel like. I played Kayn, but both forms feel to be quite bad actually, in my opinion. And look what he does. Like he's really good at like holding into his E. So the trick is really, as you guys observed, don't insta E, because more than often when you E in, people insta sidestep, move around minions. You won't be able, like if you rush your E, more than often, way more likely it won't hit. So if you just hold into it for a little longer, it will more likely to hit, because people will choke on their sidesteps. It's like, you know, similar to a Varus, you know, when he's holding into his Q, then people are flashing, then you Q after them, or like Pike, you know, like you know, you charge up your Q, people sidestepping, but after the time they choke on their sidesteps, and then you can find the accurate Q window, right? And similar logic really applies to Sylas. The Electrocute Harvester build especially suffers from lack of mana, huh? So it does, right? That's why he loves to go Everfrost, I do believe. In the jungle, we've seen sometimes Night Harvest Sylas, but like in the jungle, you shouldn't really play Sylas, to be honest, because in my opinion, it's not very consistent. You got to be beyond your skill level if you really wanna play it, in my opinion. But it would be nice if he would be a jungle, but maybe it would be a bit too strong if his W actually healed him off camps. You know, because he has a lot of like damage. He has a decent ganking power, perhaps even invading power. If his clear would be actually fast and healthy, right? So there's a good reason like why, because like it's kind of hard to like balance the champion both for the jungle and lane role, I assume, for Riot, because that's why they generally don't like if a champion is if a champion is flexible. It's a preferability for Riot if a champ is not too flexible, at least. It becomes just simply easier to balance around matchups. So it does say TF ult, and watch out. So like every time you're gonna get in thousands of situations, right? Depending on what kind of like champion do you face in mid lane. Like if you face Pantheon, Twisted Fate, Galio, I just said 3 examples. You can actually look to TP bot lane, and if there is a fight like going on, you can actually use your ult to intercept, and that allows you to really easily just to pick up a kill, you know. Maybe 2 kills in his case scenario. So every time you're gonna play differently depending on what kind of ults you pick up. Like for example, if you pick up a, you know, even so like a Orianna ult, or there are many ults like Lissandra's ult, you know, and there are many ults I could say, any ult, you know, basically all sorts of ult, you know, Yone ult, right? Yone ult also allows you really easily to go for an invade, so different ults have different allowances. Some of them help you in duels more in lane, some of them help you to roam more, some of them help you to kill a specific type of champion that you wanna invade. For example, if you have the option to seal the enemy support's ult or the enemy mid's ult, then you should go definitely for the better choice that allows you to like go for a certain play at a different area of the map. Because sometimes with that Ashe support's ult would be a bit better to sort of like play with instead of like your opponent's ult, right? If you wanna get a pick. But it really depends if you get to pick up his ult, right? Because often you can also roam bot lane if you have something like Ashe and Nautilus as an example, because both of their ults are really good to be stolen and to be collapsed on. So they actually like their power gets turned against them, right? And we can see like he does play well even against really good players. So notably, it's not just like noob smashing against silver players. He's actually mechanically outplaying people quite hard, as we can visually see. So his general build, as we can see, is Zonyi, Everfrost, you know, Ionian Boots, these generic items on Sylas. He does actually go Rabadon. And he does know like which ults to take, right? Like in here it's very important to pay attention, because you gotta ask yourself, if you go in a team fight as Sylas, which ultimate do you wanna steal? Darius's ult is not gonna be the best, you know, because like it doesn't deal as much damage on Sylas. And while also like Nico's ult does AoE damage, does provide you a shield, does provide you a knock-up. So it depends like which ult is more team fight oriented. That's the one that you should usually go for. But if you wanna get picks, then you can steal Ashe's ult if team fights are not the most ideal, right? So depending on what you want to do in your specific game, that's the type of ult you wanna steal, because as I said, there are thousands of situations you could get in, so there's a lot to learn when it comes to Sylas's ult, in my opinion. And in here he used the mind game, the Rise mind game, right? So in here, there's the bluff, right? That people, you would bluff that you take the Rise ult, right? And Rise will turn back because you will arrive in front of him, right? And that's the bluff that you stay at the edge of it, and you actually don't walk inside of it at the end, you walk outside of it, which allows you to collapse on the enemy rise more smoothly, right? But in here I do believe Rise would die anyways, I think, but you know, it's just a little mind game you can utilize. Does pick up the kill with W, and does he E? Oh, does he get the kill on Lee Sin? He's really fat, but Lee is Lee. Maybe if it's a Q Lee, who he does miss his Q. Ooh, let's see what happens in here. So he does connect his E. Q, ooh, sidestep the second Q. Yeah, I mean, this Lee. Sadly, if he cannot hit Q, he cannot get the kill. It is what it is, but he has to hit the Q. Ooh, but look, insta E into a W, because he knows if he would like basic attack, if he would get those two passive basic attacks off, he wouldn't be allowed to get the W healing off, just because he would go in biz, right? So that's, to this type of little details you should really watch out for as a Sylas player, because it can really get tricky how you layer your abilities, how mechanically you play. Whoa, this was a bit of a risky fight, but well played on his part. He really loves to take risks, Sylas. He really loves to get leads by taking risks, and he's really good at maintaining his leads. So once you get the lead as Sylas, ideally you want to maintain it, so he doesn't int it, he goes Everfrost, he goes of course Zonye, so it helps you also to maintain your lead, to utilize them in combat, combined with some ultimates, right? And then so like his playstyle, if you guys notice, is a bit more risky early on. These are generic bans you can go for, definitely. And then once he gets really fed, what he does, he plays more consistently, he keeps his lead, he goes for really good picks. So that's what you want to do actually as Sylas. That's it for now, guys. Have a nice day.